Morning everybody,
Welcome to this week's meeting of Business Forum. Today is the 17th of March 2022. I like to mention the date because it means I get something right at the beginning of the meeting. I'm Aidan Squire, I'm your meeting chairman. It's my job to take you through seamlessly the agenda. In that I'm assisted by the leadership team who are asked to be outstanding and introduce yourself to the meeting.
Good morning everybody, I'm Terry, I deal with membership and recruitment.
Morning guys, Ben Golding, Education and Development.
And good morning, Scott, your meeting secretary and handsome face of live chat.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Right. So the meeting's underway, and as usual, first stop is the EDF Performance League. I'll tell us all about that.
Yes, keep this chart up to date, resets each month and share it around with you each week. Performance League points. There are 3 members who have topped 100 points so far this month, so let me give you those. In third position is myself at 106 points. 107 points puts Nick Cook in second place. That's what happens when you bring a guest and they join Nick. Well done. Remember that is for you. But the current leader, 127 points, is Paul Booth. So you can see how those numbers got there from that sheet. Any queries, questions, or feedback on this? Just come talk to me after.
Thanks, Scott. Before I introduce the education slot, I neglected to welcome our guest, who is Hannah O'Shea. She's sitting next to Jane. She's Jane's guest, and you'll no doubt hear from her later when she tells you what she does and how she does it. By the way, she has sausage on the white. Right, education slot. Okay.
Thank you very much. Well, good morning again guys. And what I thought I'd talk to you about today is one-to-ones and how to get the most out of the one-to-ones. And they are a great way to get to know your fellow members and learn about how you can give and receive more referrals. Now, one thing that one-to-ones aren't are if you have repeat business that maybe sort of having a couple of phone calls a week to catch up. That's not a one-to-one. A one-to-one would be a way of having new business drawn in. So here's 6 tips to have effective one-to-ones. So first of all, quite obvious, schedule your initial one-to-one with everybody within the group as soon as possible. Get to know your member a lot quicker. Secondly, a one-to-one needs to be both structured and social. So the more that you can find an overlapping area of maybe your professional area and your personal interests, the more successful a one-to-one is going to be. Now, third one, if you ask someone for a one-to-one, then the focus of that meeting is on the other person, not you. So you do this in order to learn how you can give referrals to that person, not necessarily how to get them. It's the old, I'm going to use the word for giver's gain type thing with this one, because the more time you have in a one-to-one, you may have time to switch roles and focus on you. But if that doesn't happen, it's still a successful one-to-one. And of course, if somebody asks you for one-to-one, then you're in the spotlight. End each one-to-one with a commitment. This may be you want to bring a referral to somebody that you've had a one-to-one with. Or it may be there to have a follow-up one-to-one meeting to learn a little bit more about them and how you can give them a good referral. Or it's the second one to focus on you and your business. So it doesn't matter how you end it, but just end your meeting with a result. Because if you don't come away with an action plan, then it's kind of just a social rather than a one-to-one. And remember always that your one-to-one is not a one-time deal. I'll say, if you haven't said anything about your business, you can go back and have another one-to-one. And remain focused and prioritise your one-to-ones. So, a very quick review. One-to-ones will build relationships which build trust. If you ask for a one-to-one to another member, it's about them, not just about you. Come up with an action plan at the end of each one-to-one, and maybe repeat one-to-ones if you've had new services or products come into your business. And you are training that other person about how you want to gain referrals, but also training yourself on how you can do referrals to them. It's not all just about repeat business. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's worth bearing in mind, and let's try and get some one-to-ones fixed up, particularly with new members. Right. Terry last week, in his role as membership director, told us the good news that Emma had been successfully accepted as a member. Today is the day that we induct her. It involves nothing being wrong.
Tighten your belt.
Emma, we want to welcome you to the group, and if you'd like to come up, I'll give you your checkbook there. Right. We now move on.
I haven't finished the membership yet.
Terry.
Thank you, Aidan. Yeah, well, congratulations, Emma. Good to see you. Just an announcement about renewal, really. You've been involved in it, and Vince, and the others on a renewal of probably one of the founding members, Stuart. Must be, I reckon. The good and bad news, really. Good news is he wants just another year. The bad news is he'll be back in the naughty corner for another year. So great. Stuart renewed for another year.
Good, excellent. Yeah, thanks, Terry. Firstly, the business card box. I've passed it round to my left. Please check to make sure you're adequately represented in there with cards. Take cards that you might need in order to make referrals. If Vince were here, he would tell you how important that is, but then he does have a vested interest. The other thing is I'm going to pass around the little box between the referrals as it goes round. Right, whilst that's all happening, if you can concentrate on the 60-second round, I'd be very much obliged. It is the 60-second round. Your chance to highlight your business in 60 seconds. We don't have Vincent with us today, but we have Paul, who will be doing the honours, and after 50 seconds you will hear, and after 60 seconds you will also hear. Oh, right. When you hear the double roll, immediately sign off and sit down. Then, as far as the Oscar is concerned, it's St. Patrick's Day today, so it's appropriate that we have a stroke. Awarding the blessed Oscar, or Oscar, as it's known. People listening out carefully. So let's get on with it. Colin, as usual, will go first, and he'll be followed by Mike Hicks.
Good morning. My name's Colin. My company is Blue Planet Consulting, and this week we've got some good news. You like good news? Our biggest and best client has just placed an order for some more training. Which is excellent. I'm really pleased. It's probably another sort of 3 days or so, which will be good. They tell me there'll be more, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more training. So I want, if you could introduce me, please, to training managers, office managers, people who have the responsibility for purchasing training. Be really pleased, really excited to have just an introduction. Maybe sit down with them, maybe just a coffee, 20 minutes chat with people who are responsible for buying, specifying training, specifically in health and safety, but we just want to talk to the training managers really, not as a sort of sales pitch, just to sort of get to know them and have a coffee with them. That's me, Colin from Blue Planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. Mike.
Okay, I'm Mike Hickson from LSA Systems, based in Billericay. Following on from last week and my stories about data breaches and such like, this week I want to talk to you about recovering from something like that, or even recovering just from losing your data. Because everyone's got a backup, I'm sure. I wouldn't want to embarrass anyone saying to them, I'm not have a backup. But the thing that I'd like to ask is, how many of you actually check the validity of that backup? How many do a test restore? Because every backup that you buy, whether it's just copying from your hard disk to something like that, or even something like that, which is very affordable, to £1,000, £2,000 a month online backup solution, they all do exactly the same thing. They copy your data. But if you can't get that data back, then it's a waste of money and a waste of time. So if you do anything today, go home, go back to the office, check the validity of your backup. That's my recommendation.
Thank you very much, Mike. Melissa is next, and she'll be followed by another Mike, Skinner.
So, Mr. Jackson, Kenway Francis, assisting companies in financial distress and individuals in financial distress. Most of our referrals come through accountants and solicitors. So today I'm asking you to think about any other accountants or solicitors that you may know that you can refer to me so that I can help their clients. We assist their clients by finding solutions to whatever their financial issues are. We use the insolvency procedures in order to be able to do that. But first and foremost, we look at a hierarchy and say, can we save this business or can we prevent that person going through the full insolvency process? So today I want you to think about if there's anybody that you can refer to me in terms of an accountant or solicitor outside of the group that may need to have their clients' situations reviewed and assistance. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Mike Skinner is followed by Richard Reed.
Morning everyone. Quick and simple one this week. If you know of any companies planning to do any trade shows this year or any other stand-up events, I can produce video content for their display screens or edit together existing marketing material they've already got and have it set up to work as a rolling background for the stands. I can add subtitles so it can be displayed without sound and optimise it also plays on loop without any jarring changes between videos. Also provide photography to be blown up onto display stands and backdrops, and you can work with Matt and Scott to tie it all into the sort of existing design for their company. So this week, after any companies that set up at trade shows and want their displays to be up to date and professional. That's Mike at Multimedia.
Thanks, Mike. Richard Reed, followed by John Freeman.
Morning everyone, that's Richard Reed, Company's Prestige, Holdings and Travel Limited, independent training consultant. What I'm looking for is that anyone looking to tailor-make a trip abroad, whether it's an easy thing in Europe, whether it's a exotic, around a continent that you've not visited before. That's something I specialise in. I can do that, do all the work for you, gradually work with you to make this an absolute match for the itinerary you're looking for, and I'll do that from the comfort of my home so that you can enjoy that trip to its maximum. And I will do that at no extra additional cost to yourself. That's Richard, Prestige, try to create a lifetime business for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. John Freeman, followed by two.
Morning all, my name's John from the One Stop Property Shop. 2 family bathrooms, 4 en-suites, 2 kitchens, all in various shades of grey. I was mentioned this morning about we've got some bright colours on. I'm sick to death of grey. I really am, and I've done a lot more shades of grey than that 50 shades of grey. So if you know anyone that wants a bit of colour in their life, whether it be tiles on walls or paint on walls or floors, doesn't matter. I'll be doing some more grey over the next couple of weeks, but a bit of colour would be nice. Colourful bathrooms and kitchens is what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Toby, followed by Sarah.
Good morning everybody, Toby Axon, Business Growth and Development Specialist, and I've been going on a bit about motivational maps recently, you might have noticed. I'm going to talk about it again today. So a few people have asked me if motivational mapping is like personality profiling, and the basic answer is no. It's similar but different. Personality tests such as Myers-Briggs, Insights, DISC profiling, very good. In fact, I personally really like DISC profiling, but personality is very static over your lifetime, don't change much over your lifetime, whereas motivation is very dynamic, it changes very rapidly. A lot of people that I've mapped so far said this would be very different 2 years ago before lockdown. Certainly very different 10 years ago when they were first building their businesses. So yeah, it's very dynamic. It changes a lot over your lifetime. So when you get your report, it's not just a case of, well, that's interesting, sticking it in a drawer. It's actually about sustainability, making things change over time. So a lot of companies, they do motivational mapping at least once a year. Some do it twice a year. Some do it even 4 times a year if they're going through rapid change or rapid growth. So no, it's not personality profiling. It's very different, but it's slightly similar. So it's totally action, sales, master skills, helping people with their motivation.
Thank you, Toby. Sarah, followed by Emma.
Morning everybody, Sarah Steele from Factor with Money. So this week I've been doing some one-to-ones that an employer set up for their employees. And one lady I spoke to earns a very good salary. Her and her partner had just been going through a remortgage because they were at the end of their fixed period and they wanted to try and lock in before interest rates go up. But what that brought to the fore is that she's in an incredible amount of debt that she hadn't told her partner, that she then had to disclose. She'd actually racked up about £32,000 worth of debt on 3 store cards, 2 credit cards, 2 loans, 2 overdrafts. Now, because of her earnings and because of the amount of money she has left at the end of the month, she can't get a debt management plan. But what she can do, because she's got quite a good credit rating, is she can consolidate that debt herself. So I just showed her how to go onto the Money Saving Expert website, how to use their loan calculator tool, and what that does, you put in your details and it shows you which loans, low interest loans, you're likely to be approved for. So instead of paying £2,000 a month now on her debt just to pay minimum payments, we've got that down to £600. So that is the kind of stuff that we do in one-to-ones that employers pay for. So if you know any employers that might want that for their employees, it's Factor with Money. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Emma, followed by Melissa.
Morning everyone, I'm Emma Taylor from James Lee Property. So this week I've been in talks with quite a few sellers who have been on the market for some months. I've been analysing their online adverts and giving them pointers on how to achieve better advert and therefore better visibility and better price. So if you, I'm not sure if you guys would know, but if you're on Rightmove, being on a pricing bracket is really, really important for your visibility and for your buyer reach online. It costs about £20 to actually bump up your advert to a premium listing, so it's not a lot, and all my clients get that as a standard. Also, if you are on a premium listing, it's better to have a floor plan, a picture of the front, a picture of the back, and a good feature of the property. You should also have a clear description, something that takes you on a journey through the house, because buyers seem to really enjoy that. So the more information for potential buyers on your online advert, the better your reach for your buyers, and therefore, attracting better price. So that's me, Emma Taylor from James Lee Property. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Emma. Melissa, followed by James. Sorry. Because you were, yes. That's because you appeared twice. That is not the way to get through. Right, so that's me following, but yes. So not Melissa, but James is followed by Ben.
Morning all, James from RMK Insurance, general insurance brokers. So again, we'll have a look at most things. In particular, the last couple of weeks, I've been challenged to wheels-based risks. Someone rocked up with an armour-plated Land Rover he just bought off the MOD, and of course, no one would touch that. So 3 days later, we got it insured for next to nothing. Didn't even put a fee on it, Toby. Didn't put a fee on it. But we can do most challenging issues that a lot of brokers won't spend time doing, because we are a local broker, we have local relationships, but as a part of the bigger, wider GRP group, we've got access to pretty much any market that any insurance broker, big, small, medium, will have access to. So, special types, car sales, garages, anybody that's got 3 or more cars that wants to build a fleet, come to us, we'll see what we can do. James from RMK Insurance.
Thanks, James. Ben, you're next. You are followed by Neil.
Good morning guys, Ben Golding from Utility Warehouse. Now, earlier this week I saw somebody whose energy was going up to £320 a month. However, I was able to help them fix their energy at £270 a month, but that included her gas, electricity, broadband, 2 unlimited SIMs, boiler cover and bill protector, making the services savings even bigger. Now, the fixed price tariff is around £250 cheaper. Now, I'm old enough to remember when £750 cheaper. I'm old enough to remember when £750 is what people pay a year. Now, that's what I can save them. But the wholesale market is growing faster than ever before. A week ago, it was predicted the price cap would be £3,000 in October. Now, £4,000 a year, which is really scary. But we are rock solid, and people can trust that we're going to be around this year, next year, and decades to come, so I can really help your friends, family, and colleagues. That's Ben Golding, Utility Warehouse.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Neil, you're followed by Michael.
Hi everybody, Neil from the Event Catering into the Republic. Been away most of the week in Barcelona, lapping it up, enjoying a little soaking up a bit of luxury. So you'd think I really haven't done much this week, but you'd be really, really wrong. So I've gone after a small festival in August, and I'm signing the contract for that on Monday. I've been approached about a corporate job for 750 people in June. We signed that contract on Monday because I've already stolen that. And we are now doing the final prep for our first festival this Saturday in Potters Bar of all places. Very hush-hush festival, naughty festival. So we'll be doing that in a big field in the middle of nowhere this Saturday. And I've even found enough time to sort out lots and lots of fresh meats for the members. So that's Neil from NN Event Catering, rocking it hard, Super Chef survives.
Thank you, Neil. Mike Rogers, followed by Tina.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Rogers. Handsome face of mortgages. I am a mortgage broker, and I arrange all sorts of mortgages for all sorts of people. And that's all I've got to say. No, actually, it isn't all I've got to say. I spent the whole of the last year working really hard at being miserable. And the amount of research that I did, working out what to moan about and what to rant about, took so much time and energy. Did I get an Amazon voucher last week? Did I? So I've made a decision this morning. From now on, I'm going to put no effort at all into being miserable. I'm just going to sit here and be myself from now on.
I'm sure you'll manage, Mike.
That's rant of the year.
I'll make a note of that. It's only a year away. Tina, you're next. You're followed by Terry.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Tina. I'm a company called Liberty Executive Services. I offer secretarial and admin service. I work from home, but I can work in offices as well, supporting anybody that needs any help. This afternoon, I'm getting signed up on C events. So if you know of anybody that is looking for a venue for a workshop or a conference, please pass on my details because I'll be happy to help them in searching for a venue of their choice. So that's me, Tina, Liberty Executive Services. I'm not a 9 to 5, I'm a start to finish, and I haven't had a drink yet.
Thank you, Tina. Nice to see you've made peace between your teeth and your tongue. Terry, you're next, and you're followed by Scott.
Thanks, Aidan. Good morning again, everybody. Terry Maiden from TM Law Solicitors. Some of you know, some of you don't. I'm a member of the Law Society Personal Injury Panel and the Association of Personal Injury Lawyers. So I specialise in personal injury work. Been doing it for a very long time, and know my way around the market. It takes a long time to deal with a case. Toby referred me a case 2.5, 3 years ago. I wrapped it up last week. I spent a year getting run around by the insurers who were just trying to basically fob me off. All different insurers trying to fob me off, but as those of you who know me, I wasn't going to be given up, and I finally settled that lady's case, got her money and a couple of quid myself, so that was good. So I'd like you to look out for people when you're on your day-to-day business. You've got friends, acquaintances, business. If you see they've got some signs of injury, just find out what happened. Saying to Jane earlier, you come across someone with a plaster cast on their own, just, well, what happened? It's an easy enough inquiry, or a neck brace or whatever. What I don't want, and it's not that I don't want to do it, it's just it's not trying to earn any money out of it, but it's minor road traffic cases. So if you get a bump in a car park and you suddenly start clutching your neck or your back, please don't send them to me. But any injuries other than that, Terry Maiden, TM Law, we'd be delighted to help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Scott, you're followed by
Good morning, everybody. Don Scott. When I started this business, SEO, 10 years or so ago, it was all about search engine optimization, and that was the primary goal and focus of what we were doing. At that time, I took out licenses and software to really help analyse and understand and control and monitor the website. And I've just renewed and brought back those subscriptions. It's something I moved away from, moved back into, had a one-to-one with Neil and showed Neil how some of that worked last week. So if you're interested in just comparing your online presence, your website, against a selection of your competitors, to look at how your authority, how your links, how your presence in Google stacks up, how it's evolving, improving, or occasionally, falling away over time, what's making your ranking work, and why are your competitors better and stronger and doing better in Google than you. We can help do that. At the minute, I'm just looking to cover costs on that piece of software. So if you're interested, just to help me keep that software license running, happy to do some deals for you guys. Messio, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Nick James.
Good morning. My name's Nick. I'm a structural engineer. I provide a structural design service for virtually anything a homeowner might need. It may be a steel beam over an opening that's been created. It could equally be a loft conversion. It could be a two-storey side extension. Maybe a combination of all three. I'm doing one of those for our Kieron, our own in-house architect, at the moment as we speak. I also provide a structural design service for home buyers who want to be sure that the home they are hoping to buy doesn't have any structural problems. So that's what I do, structural designs for homeowners, structural inspections for home buyers. That's the sort of work I'm looking for. My name's Nick, and the business is called Nick Associates. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Jane.
Hello everyone, it's Jane Mannion here from the English Cream Tea Company. We're all about gifts, big or small, we have them all. I brought a little one today to show you in case somebody wants to take a treat home. This is a chocolate cream tea. These are chocolate scones with chocolate tea, blackcurrant jam, and of course clotted cream. And the combination of the blackcurrant jam and the cream and the chocolate scones is a little bit like a Black Forest gatto. Normally 27, a mere 22 to the first taker. And warning, I'm leaving early. I have to go to a funeral, unfortunately. So if you need it, you're going to have to grab it quick. Sold, pay me later.
How long will it last? Sorry,
if you didn't want it today or tomorrow, obviously put the cream in the fridge, but you could freeze this and probably not the cream. So Sunday latest.
Okay. I was thinking Mother's Day actually, so.
So that's a no?
Yes, no for now then.
No for now.
Right,
so let me know by secret squirrel message, because I'll take it with me at the end. Jane Mannion, gifts for everybody that you love, and even for people you don't. As a tagline there, I'll work with the tagline. Thank you.
So it's not all round to my place.
It was close.
A bigger hamper and more of us could have gone. Right. Aidan Squire from TM Law. I received instructions yesterday from an ex-member regarding preparation of shareholders' agreements. There are 3 companies, each with 2 shareholders from a pool of 4. The reasons why are irrelevant. The fact is they're going to interact, but each is capable of being deadlocked. And if someone wants to leave, it could be complicated. Most shareholders are in a more straightforward setup, but as shareholders, an agreement that deals with the mundane, like how much time will be devoted by individuals, how much money, where you work from, and holidays, to the more fundamental. What happens if there's a deadlock? If somebody leaves, what happens to his shares? And how do you exit if you need to? Know anybody like that? If you do, send them to me. That's Aidan Squire from TM Law. And the last of the members will be Paul.
Morning, Paul Booth from Booth & Co, Chartered Certified Accountants based in Brentwood. If you're behind in your taxes in terms of your self-assessment tax returns, or you've not disclosed that you're self-employed or you've got rental income, chances are you will really struggle to get a mortgage or remortgage. So I did yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I did a client hadn't disclosed rental income for 4 years.
we made an application under the Let Property campaign, and they're going to be up to date with HMRC, which will enable them to get a mortgage. Also spoke to someone a couple of days ago about non-declared self-employment for 2 years, so it's really important. So if you know anyone who has not disclosed their rental income or self-assessment employment to HMRC, please give them my details. It's Paul Booth from Booth & Co. Minimise tax, maximise wealth.
Thank you very much, Paul. That's the end of the members' contributions. Finally, Hannah, you have 60 seconds to tell us about your business.
Good morning, I'm Hannah O'Shea and I specialise in using social media. So very quick, hands up who, if you consider yourself an expert in social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, no? A lot of businesses get leads from all these sources, valuable leads, and I worked with Jane this past week, and from 0 views from 2 TikToks, we are nearly at 400,000 views, and from 2 followers, we're nearly at 8,000 followers, and from 0 likes, we're nearly at 30,000 likes. That's literally just in 24 hours. So if you'd like a chat about social media, please get in contact and I could guide you or help you with your social media or undertake it all for you. That's Hannah O'Shea. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That does bring to the end of the 60-second round. I hand over to Mr. O'Connor for his deliberations on the bill.
Very difficult. Very difficult trying to pick a winner. There were some very good ones. Melissa, I liked yours because you explained exactly what you did and how you was trying to help people. Ben, I liked yours because you were explaining how you saving people lots of money, which was good. Who else did I put? Neil, I liked yours because you made me laugh. Explain exactly what you're doing and where you're going business-wise. And Terry, yours was very clear, so I liked yours as well. But I'm going to give the winner to someone who they're started their 60 seconds and they said extremely clearly what they did. And then they paused, and I do like a pause.
Means I've got to turn up next week.
Thank you, Charlie. Congratulations. Right. Actually, while we haven't got, there wasn't a synergy meeting this week, but there will be one next week. Richard, would you just like to give us the heads up on that?
Apologies, I've got to leave. I've got a dental appointment. I'll try and fix this. Yes, there's a business and consumer meeting on Monday, the 21st. It'll be at 4 o'clock. Jules and Dragon Mount Missing. I will send out a reminder invitation by email, and I would like responses and suggestions from you guys as to what you would like to discuss around the table that's relevant to us. So I'll send a reminder out, and I look forward to seeing you good turn out as well. Hopefully I'll have all the teeth for you.
Thank you, Richard.
So we'll see you next week.
Yes. Right. The 10-minute presentation next up, as you can probably guess. Ben, talk us through it.
Thank you very much. So before I introduce Amanda as speaker, giving her 10-minute debut today, we've just given an update for the upcoming week's speakers and education slots. So next week on the 24th, we have Terry giving the 10 minutes and the education provided by Paul Booth. On the 31st, it's mine 10 minutes, and Toby will be doing the education slot that day. Into April, William will be doing the 10 minutes on the 7th of April, and I'll be doing the education slot. And on to the 14th, Paul DeLu will be doing the 10 minutes, and Jane will be giving us the education slot. When it's your turn to do 10 minutes, please go to the EBS website, go onto the member resources and get the bio sheet and get to be a day or two before your presentation. If you can't do your 10 minutes for whatever reason, let me know as soon as possible, and I'll do my best to try and swap things around. And Emma, I'll try and get you in sooner rather than later so you can tell us a little bit more about who you are as a new member as well. But leading on to today's speaker, so did send me their bio sheet. So obviously today we have Melissa Jackson, and her business is Kenway Francis. Now she's an insolvency practitioner based in Brentwood in Essex, and she's been doing this 30 years, which I found really hard to believe actually, because I think you must have started when you were like 2. So you said you've been doing it forever. Married to Adam, who's a property developer, and got Ashley, who's a nurse, who was at the hospital I was at the other day, and Chloe, who's a makeup artist. And 5 chickens, Bella the cat, and Wilson the dog. There loves furniture restoration. And is that unicycling?
No, not unicycling.
Oh, that's what I thought. We've not heard that one before. Just cycling and doing. Okay, do unicycling, it's more fun. Yeah, park run, anything sports, and dog walking. Burning desire to have a successful business, and hopefully we'll be able to help you along the way. And that you used to play the bagpipes. And finally, key to success. Work hard, play hard, and don't take yourself too seriously. So without further ado, Melissa Jackson.
Right, good morning everybody. So thank you for a great introduction, Ben. Kenway Francis. So a little bit about me and the business to begin with. Kenway Francis, as you know, I'm an insolvency practitioner, and quite apart from having to sometimes be the Grim Reaper, I do assist individuals and businesses in financial distress. Usually this is by way of procedures set out in these 2 large tomes here, called the Insolvency Act 1986. Like most IPs, I fell into insolvency, even though I'm an accountant by trade. I'm just trying to click through these episodes. I've always been a frustrated lawyer. Yes, please, thank you. So the interplay between the law and accountancy suits me perfectly. Next one, please, thank you. Having worked in the city for most of my career, I took a leap of faith in September 2017 and set up Kenway Francis. Kenway was the name of the first road that I lived in as a child, and Francis is my mother's maiden name, and so KF was born. I'm proud to say that we are now in our 5th year, and doesn't time fly when you're having fun? I certainly have no regrets. We're a small team of 5 employees, but we feel that we punch way above our weight in terms of the size of our clients and the quality of work that we do. Our solicitor and accountant referrers up and down the country are key to the success of our business. I want to talk to you today about a specific area of insolvency, because we do both personal and corporate, but today I want to focus on personal insolvency, which is close to everybody's heart. It represents about 30 to 40% of what we do. I'd like to get a few people involved in some roles if you can. So, if I can ask these 4 people. Credit time. I'm sorry, Toby, you're the bankrupt.
Been there, done that.
Let's add one more creditor. There we go. I've been busy this week. This is the bankrupt or debtor's house. And we'll talk about what happens to that in a moment. The car represents an asset. Next slide. Next one. That one. So I'm going to talk to you today about individual voluntary arrangements and bankruptcy. They're both formal insolvency procedures. An IVA is a formal agreement with the individual debtors, creditors, on the side of the table. It's a process that you enter into to avoid bankruptcy. What has to happen is that a proposal is drawn up by my firm. So the debtor draws up a proposal because you're in debt, you've got creditors that you can't pay. The idea being that you want to seek a settlement with them to pay a proportion of your debts back over a period of time. Because it's a formal process governed by the Insolvency Act 1986, there are certain procedures that you have to follow. A meeting of creditors has to be called, and there needs to be a 75% majority of creditors voted in acceptance. So, our 4 creditors represent the body of creditors. Can you please turn over your cards and tell me how you're voting on the proposal? So we've got 1 dissenting creditor. 3/4 of our creditors are accepting the proposal, so therefore the proposal will be accepted and our dissenting creditor is bound by the terms regardless. What happens is the debtor pays in money every month. I collect that in, I take my fee from it, which has been agreed by the creditors in the proposal, and I pay the creditors out on a quarterly basis. This procedure is quite powerful and it allows you to write off a considerable amount of debt. For some people, it's the only way that they can deal with their debts because they cannot afford to continue to pay the high level of debts that they've got. The downsides of it are that it's going to last 5 years. It's a huge commitment. The upsides are the property is protected. The proposal allows you to say to your creditors, I want to keep my home, and instead, the equity in that property, I'll pay that in by way of contribution to you. If I can't afford to do so, then I can extend my proposal by a further year. So they're quite powerful tools, but they have to be proposed by an insolvency practitioner. Otherwise, they're not binding and they're not legally binding on all creditors. At the end of the 5 years, that debtor is completely free of debt and they can move on. Bankruptcy. This is a whole other matter. What happens is a creditor petitions the court. Because they're owed money and the bankrupt hasn't paid, or the debtor at the time hasn't paid. The court endorses that petition and makes a bankruptcy order. This is a formal process through the courts. On the order of the court, the debtor's assets in their entirety vest with me as the trustee.
Can I just point out that car is a Tucker Torpedo, only strictly one were ever made, but it's worth $2 million.
Fantastic.
Let's look to that.
So, as a very happy trustee that I've got some valuable assets, I have to sell those assets, realise those assets, in order to pay the creditors who haven't been paid. The bankrupt remains bankrupt for 12 months, but the bankruptcy actual process could take far longer. I, in fact, have 3 years to sell this property, and I may take longer to sell other assets. So it could go on for several years. As I say, you are likely to lose your home. There are other complications with jointly owned properties. And you're likely to lose excessive value assets. We'll let you have a car, but not this one. So you can see that the processes that we deal with are complex. Everybody's situation is very, very different, and what's involved has to be carefully considered. To avoid bankruptcy, I would always suggest that you take early advice and don't get into a situation where you're going to need to deal with the issues that are faced by bankrupts. It won't allow you to be a director of a company. You can't become a magistrate. Your credit rating is going to be affected severely. and the financial consequences can be dire. So, I'd like to open the floor to any questions at this time. Yes.
Thanks for this. So with the IVA, is it still a case of the creditors have to accept a certain pence in the pound in terms of repayment? And secondly, if it's based on the number of creditors for the 75% majority, if you've got one creditor, say, over £1 million, and you've got the other three that only owe £10,000 each, and the smaller ones accept, then the bigger one's going to be...
It's all about control. Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, the proposal will set out what your terms of repayment are. They could be that you're paying back 5p in the pound, it could be that you're paying back 50p in the pound, or it could be 20. The voting is done on value, so your 75% majority is majority in value of the creditor. Right. So if you're a large creditor, you are going to control the outcome of the proposal in the IVA. It's not done on numbers, so you could have 100 people at £1 each. They're not going to affect the outcome. Sorry, teams. Jane, sorry.
So is it so that some people use bankruptcy as a means of clearing things they owe, and then before doing so they hastily switch their assets into family members' names or put it into premium bonds or I don't know what? Is that a tactic that can be used?
They can try. But again, this wonderful Insolvency Act gives me huge amounts of powers through the courts. So if you was to do that and you're going bankrupt, you say, right, I'll give all of my assets to my daughter or my husband or whatever, I'm about to go bankrupt. There are provisions within the Act that give me look-back provisions, and I can undo those transactions and claim the money from the person that's actually holding the assets. Sorry.
In Richard, if someone enters into an IVA and they start paying the money to you and so on, then obviously a long-term thing, and they stop paying, don't pay more, what happens?
They could end up bankrupt. So the proposal terms are quite strict, and the whole idea of the proposal, which is an out-of-court process, is to ensure that the debtor complies with the terms, that I make sure as supervisor that they are complying with the terms, and that the money that the creditors have owed is paid to them. So if the debtor doesn't make the contributions, strictly speaking, what I have to do is hold a creditors meeting and say, oh, we've got a problem here, circumstances have changed, or the person can no longer make the payments, what do you want to do? And it's up to the creditors to then decide if they want me to present a bankruptcy petition to the court. So even in an IVA, if it goes wrong, you could end up bankrupt.
Thank you.
Sorry, Scott.
Is it in Toby's best interest as the person going bankrupt to make that initial contact and to engage you rather than the panel of creditors once it's already happened?
Because bankruptcy is a court-led process, the creditor has to petition the court in the first instance to make a bankruptcy order. So you're not bankrupt until that order is made. But if you're an individual in financial distress, before it gets to that point, you come and see me. And instead of going bankrupt, if that's not the right procedure for you to go down, I will steer you into the route of going down an IVA or some other alternative procedure to avoid bankruptcy.
Is your fee like a fixed fee as set down, or is it based on a percentage of the amount of money that's owed or whatever?
Right, so the fees for insolvency are quite complex, but in an IVA situation, they're fairly prescribed. You have a pre-appointment fee, so at the time before the proposal is accepted, and the debtor pays that to me for the work that I'm doing putting together the proposal. And that's normally a reasonably low fee and a fixed amount. And then once the proposal has been approved, the creditors are receiving a certain amount of money from that proposal, and I take a percentage, it's normally 15% of what's paid in on a monthly basis as my fee for the IVA.
The reason I asked that is a few years ago there was a company called Fairpack, I think. And it's one of them where you pay money in each month, and then just before Christmas you get vouchers to go and do your Christmas shopping. And my wife had paid in something like £1,000, and just before Christmas all the directors took money out, bought themselves millions of pounds worth of houses, and then declared bankrupt. And the only thing I really remember is every few months my wife got a letter from the insolvency people saying, just to let you know, we've taken our fee out, and it was thousands they were taking out, and in the end I think out of her £1,000 my missus received about £20 back, something like that. But the thing that stuck in my mind was just how much money the insolvency people were taking out. So it seemed like every penny they were collecting in, they were saying, thank you very much, that goes in our bank account.
Well, no, quite. It's slightly different on a bankruptcy. On a bankruptcy, Toby just confirms me that this is a very, very valuable asset, so it would be done on a percentage basis, but our fees have got to always be reasonable, and they're actually approved by the creditors. So, you know, at the end of the day, we can't just decide that we're going to just have an amount out. The creditors have to actually approve that amount in the first instance. So a lot of creditors don't actually realise that they have that say and have that power over the insolvency practitioner.
Because the letter that comes through saying we've taken our fee doesn't actually give you anything in the way of, if you don't like this idea, then let us know. It just says we've done it.
If I come to you, I'm creditors all around me, so I'm approaching you with a view to doing an IVA. I give you the instructions, I give you the information, and you put forward the proposal. You're presumably at that stage advising me.
Yes.
So I am your client. You put forward the. Is there a time when you have an overwhelming obligation to the court or to the creditors?
Yes, all the way along. We, as insolvency practitioners, have to have regard for both the debtor and the creditors. So it's a little bit of a juggling act. And you're right. At the point that you come to me, I'm looking to provide that duty of care to you. But I also, once you've actually put your proposal together, have the duty of care to the creditors to make sure it's a proposal that's just, fair and capable of acceptance. So that you haven't sort of told any porky pies, made it look as if it's wonderful and that you're going to be able to repay huge amounts of money and then it's going to fail later on down the line. So I've got to do this juggling act to make sure that it's affordable, fair and reasonable, both for you and the creditors involved.
If I come to you, you advise me what percentage I should be putting forward. You put together the proposal, and that goes in. If it doesn't make the 75%, and I want to get one of the creditors or two of the creditors to be approached with a view to getting them to change their mind, in other words, to make up the 75%, how far can you get involved in that?
That's absolutely what I get involved in. So at that point, that period between when the proposal goes out and that 14-day period when they have to consider the proposal, that's when the negotiation and the real work happens, because the proposal goes out, it details everything, they may have a view as to whether or not they want to accept or reject it. And it's my job to convince them that it's one that should be accepted, even if it means that they're only getting a percentage of their money back, and convincing them that oftentimes it's the case that an IVA is better than the alternative, which would be bankruptcy and no return at all for them.
But you might have information that makes you believe that you're putting forward a proposal on my behalf that I could afford more, but we're not putting it in. Now, we've had a frank discussion about that. Do you get conflicted at all in that situation?
Well, I always say to debtors, this is not about horse trading. This is putting your best foot forward from the off, rather than thinking, I'll only offer them 10p the pound with a view that I can pay 30p the pound. No, put forward your best foot and disclose everything. That's always the best way.
Last.
If somebody declared bankrupt, but they bury their head in the sand and don't want to play ball with anyone, does that bankruptcy still come to an end after all? And if so, why?
Bankruptcy lasts for 12 months, provided that there hasn't been any suspension of discharge. So you're discharged from bankruptcy after 12 months automatically if I don't apply to the call because you haven't done what you ought to have done as a bankrupt. So one of the things you have to do as a bankrupt is you have to cooperate with me in my investigations of your affairs, and you have to do all the things that are necessary in assisting me with the bankruptcy. If you don't do that, I can suspend your discharge, sometimes indefinitely. So it will come to an end after 12 months. That doesn't mean to say that the bankruptcy estate is not still being administered. I still have to administer a estate, sell a property, deal with assets after that time.
Melissa, I'm sorry,
on the basis that the person is going to heaven soon, and there's still creditors out there who have not had their debts satisfied, and the administrator looks at the bankruptcy order and thinks, I've had as much as I can get out of this estate, so I'm just going to wrap it all up and walk away. And they do that, and they don't dispute the ending of the bankruptcy, then the bankrupt gets away with it.
Essentially, yeah. That's it, it's over.
Right. Well, this is thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much for clarifying an area that I think a lot of us are fully aware of all the time. And an excellent 10 minutes, and first time as well. Very good. Right. The referrals and testimonials round. Let's start with that, and as usual, we'll start with Paul and work our way around. Melissa, if you could do the run.
Very good. Thank you. Great visual representation. Thank you, monies for Sarah, got a referral for Ryan, and Robert and Hannah.
Very good. That was excellent. Anybody that can make a subject that's perhaps dry, so interesting and visually engaging. Well done. The Blue Peter touch was awesome. Colin, when you talked about enjoying doing your training, I know a company who act as brokers between corporates and providing their trainers. May I introduce you? Yes, thank you very much. And with my apologies, I've got to head off to the funeral. I'll be taking this with me. Yes, I think so. See you next week, dears. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for having me. I've had a lovely time, and it's been really great and informative. Thank you.
Really interesting this. Well done as your first try. Great meeting, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.
Good meeting as always. Thanks, Minister. That's really. I have to ask some questions around that when I'm speaking to new clients, so it's nice to have a little bit more, especially the IVAs. The bankruptcy, you hear that word thrown around quite a bit. The IVAs are sometimes a little bit. I've had an IVA. Good thing for that? But I know I've got some paperwork to catch up on, Scott, and I can feel your eyes burning to the back of my head, so I will try and get that done this week. See you all next week.
Great meeting and a very, very good 10 minutes. I put a thank you slip in for that is a job I did for you, that structural advice. So you get this.
Thank you.
As you're the runner, you get that. And I have a referral for Scott for that ongoing Google Apps email service. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you. See you all next week.
Great meeting. Welcome, Hannah. There's a really impressive stats actually you gave out, so I hope you come back. Great ed slot, Ben. That's what I was going to talk about in my ed slot, so I think it's something else now. Always seems to happen. And fantastic 10 minutes. It's really good. I've got a one-to-one with Sarah. Had a one-to-one with Sarah. And thank you to the money for Mike. See you next week.
Great meeting as always. Fascinating 10 minutes. I've had personal experience of being at the wrong end. The right end of bankruptcy, the one who suffered anyway. And that's why I'm aggressive about it. Thanks, Scott. Great one last week. Thanks to Toby for your ongoing work with the staff. I think I might have got the second referral for the staff work there. And welcome to Hannah. Can I get a couple of minutes of your time afterwards? Because I'm desperate for somebody who can help my social media, please. That's great. See you all next week.
Really enjoyed that. And I think we're going to fit in pretty well. Yes. Everything I do is to try and stop people from having to go to Mel to go bankrupt and to do that. So that's really fascinating. We've got a one-to-one next week. Had a one-to-one with Toby. Thank you for the coffee. Got out of my house. Got rid of the kids. It's great. We'll see you next week.
It's great 10 minutes, well done, that was excellent. Had a good one-to-one with Neil and also with Mike, so thank you guys both of those. Hannah, I'd love to chat. We have an obvious synergy, a number of clients who could most certainly use a service like yours. We'll perhaps talk about some opportunities.
I worked with you as your first company runner. You and I are going to get together. Thank you all for a really interesting meeting. And as the sun gets higher in the sky, they stop squinting all the time.
Although it's burning at the side of my brilliant, absolutely brilliant 10 minutes. Really clear as well. I love how you sort of get other people involved and really sort of make it very clear to us. So brilliant, well done, and especially for the first one. Fantastic. Mike, I'll have a chat with you on the way home because we've got there's the trade shows and stuff that might be something that I might be able to pass on as well. Yeah, Aidan, look forward to catching up next week, and I have had a one-to-one with the lovely Tina. Oh yeah, see, it's that memorable, she's forgotten. Have a great week, see you next week.
Melissa, initially I was quite disappointed because after Ben's introduction I really thought you were going to spend 10 minutes playing the bagpipes on a unicycle. But in actual fact, what you did turned out to be far more entertaining. That was definitely the best 10 minutes we've had this month. That was an improvement. That's what I was thinking. It was this week, but I improved on that. So yeah, excellent, brilliant meeting, and unfortunately, thanks to Colin, I'll never see you all next week.
Great education slot, Ben. Really enjoyed that and one-to-one tips, and fantastic, Melissa. I'm completely clueless to this thing, so I thought I came into this thinking I'm not going to get any of this send explanation. That was brilliant. So, really enjoyed it. I haven't had any one-to-ones or anything. Might have a quick word with you, James, afterwards, if that's all right. I'll ask a question at the end. That's great. Thank you very much.
Don't speak to you. Quite very high risk employment. Welcome to Hannah. It's great to see you, and I'm sure just listening around the table you can work out there's probably lots of businesses just here, but we're not about that, we're about businesses outside of here, so there's loads of opportunities for you. That'd be good to see you again. Well done to Melissa. A lot of that obviously is not new to me, but some of it's really interesting, and we've got some natural synergies of where I am for bringing back actually. We've got know where that is. That was really good. Got one for Neil. I'll follow his email about meat. My wife was a bit upset. She didn't think we'd be able to eat everything off that list. I had to explain to her we had to select things off the list. Thank you for the selection, Neil, rather than the lot. That was really good. One for Mike Rogers. We're going to have a look at the mortgages on the flats. I know about that, Mike. Emma, I'd like to get a one-to-one here. I think it'd be good if we got some stuff from work together.
Yeah, I was going to do what Aidan didn't do, and I've got a referral for Terry. I won't mess you around. There's one for our Terry. Yeah, it was great. 10 minutes. I'd like to have a one-to-one with you, and also a one-to-one with you. There was someone else. I call it twat chat. I ain't got a clue, I'm a twat with it, you know what I mean? But Scott normally helps me out with that kind of stuff. You talk to Scott and Scott talks to me. You might educate a twat. Things might work a bit better online. It's a great meeting, and can we have to organise one?
Oh, hello. I'll send this minute. Yes, great. It's brilliant, and yeah, I think there might be some synergy between us two as well, actually. So I'd really like to get one-to-one. I'm not quite sure how all of this kind of works just yet, but I've got a one-to-one with Tina later, so she's going to talk me through everything. So yes, and thank you. I've had a couple of emails for one-to-one, so I will get back to you as soon as I get my head around all of this. So thank you.
Thank you for the money for Colin. And I'll be contacting people for one-to-ones next week, so I've got a few days spare. Thank you very much.
Really good 60 seconds. 10 minutes. That was brilliant, actually. Can I one-to-one next week, the week after? Welcome, Hannah. As Terry said, there's loads of people in here that need your help, so hopefully see you next week. Really good Ed slot as well. That's what I meant to say. Ed slot. I'll see you all next week.
What I wanted to say was thank you everyone for listening today. I know it's a really dry subject and not for one, and if you fancy a chocolate on your way out, please look on.
Then she's doing every week.
Yeah. Right, thank you for listening. And as I say, thank you all for a great meeting. Has anybody got any announcements they want to make before I close down?
Sorry, I'll list a quick one. Scott, I've got a referral for you for the pension for Makers Nova. I didn't know whether to take it at you or Paul, but Paul's not here.
I'll take it.
You've won it. So if you can follow that way. And I guess, James, what I was going to say is through the True Centre, I know a lot of the companies, there's a pretty limited amount of people that offer both vehicle and business insurance for them. It's kind of tight. Is that something you go with specialist fleet insurance and things like that? Yeah, cool. Right. You're allowed to have a chat. Cool.
Yeah, thanks for the answers, replies on the rearranged Christmas dinner. Brian's going to organise that. Just one thought, whether it's better for everyone, because everyone's away at certain times, and to get the maximum amount of attendance. I wonder what people thought about meeting up on a Tuesday night. Would anyone have any problems for that on for the rearranged Christmas dinner? Does that work to get maximum attendance?
Work for me.
It'd be better for me, actually.
Hands up those who would find Tuesday an acceptable alternative.
Which one? Yeah, okay. All right, Brian's going to arrange it, but I'll let him know the feedback.
Thanks, Paul. Right, that's it. I send you out into the world. It's nice and sunny.